Everyone in this life gets tired sometimes. Sometimes looking around and not knowing who to lean on. There are nights of tossing and turning, the heart heavy with unnamed thoughts. The more one thinks, the more suffering one feels. The more one worries, the sadder one becomes. Amidst the brightly lit city, there are countless lost hearts. Amidst the bustling laughter and chatter, there are lonely souls trying to force a smile. It seems everyone in this world carries an invisible burden on their shoulders. A burden of worries, a burden of responsibilities, a burden of unspoken things. And then, in the quietest moment of the night, when all sounds subside, only the sigh of one's own breath remains, and one truly feels the weariness in their heart. The more people mature, the less they speak. The more they experience, the more silent they become. Because we understand that there are things no one will grasp if we speak them. There are sorrows only we can comprehend. Sometimes we just want to find a truly peaceful place, take a deep breath to release all the things that are unsettling our hearts. Some seek music, some seek alcohol, some choose to silently gaze out the window, hoping to find a little peace. But all these methods are merely temporary. Because true peace lies not outside, but within one's own mind. Buddha taught that the body may reside in the mundane world, but the mind must know how to abide in peace. For if the mind is disturbed, even in a secluded temple, the heart still cannot find peace. But if the mind is calm, even in the bustling marketplace of life, the heart remains free and at ease. Therefore, if you want to find peaceful sleep, if you want to have a tranquil body and mind, the first thing to do is not to seek a quiet place, but to find a mind free of delusive thoughts. Just as the moon can only reflect its image in a still lake, only when the mind is at peace can one truly see oneself. There's a short story about a person who sought out a Zen master, complaining of sleepless nights, an uneasy mind, and a cloudy intellect. The Zen master said nothing, only invited him to sit down, poured a hot cup of tea. The steam curled, and a light fragrance spread through the serene space. The Zen master slowly said, "Do you hear the sound of the boiling water?" The man nodded. "Do you smell the tea's fragrance spreading?" The man nodded again. The Zen master smiled. "Then your mind is here, listening, feeling. When your mind is in the present, you no longer fear the past, worry about the future, or think of gains and losses. Then you will be able to sleep. Sometimes the reason we can't sleep isn't a tired body, but a mind that refuses to let go. We worry about tomorrow. We regret yesterday's events. We resent those who hurt us. We criticize ourselves for things unfinished. If the mind holds too much, how can there be room for peace to reside? It's like an overcrowded room. If we keep accumulating old items, no matter how much we try to clean, it will never be truly clean. Only when we learn to discard, to organize, to let go, do we create space to breathe, to smile, to sleep peacefully. The ancients said, "When the mind is at peace, all things are at peace." That saying seems simple, but holds a great truth. When the mind is calm, even adversity becomes a favorable circumstance. When the mind is still, even storms turn into drifting clouds. Just like a clear lake, Even if a rainstorm stirs it up, once the rain passes, the water returns to its serene state. The human mind is similar. It cannot avoid storms, but it can learn to let itself settle. Therefore, if your soul is still stained with worldly dust today, if your eyes are weary from worries, close your eyes, take a slow, deep breath, feeling each stream of cool, fresh air entering your body. Listen to your heartbeat. Listen to your breath gently moving in and out like a small stream. Let your mind follow your breath, letting go of every thought, every sorrow. Every word, every sound from the Buddha's teachings about to resonate will be like a drop of sweet dew, washing away worries and soothing parched souls. In that moment, there is only yourself, only breath and stillness. No more the noisy clamor of life, no more the worries of tomorrow. Only serenity spreading throughout your body and mind. That is when you truly enter the realm of stillness. A place where the Buddha's teachings are not just doctrine, but fresh water, nourishing the soul. Listen, so that each word becomes a light illuminating your consciousness, so that tonight you may sleep soundly, deeply, peacefully. Buddha taught that all things in life arise from causes and conditions, and conclude with karmic results. Nothing happens by chance, nor does good fortune come from ill luck. Whatever seed is sown, that fruit will sprout. Those who do good deeds are followed by blessings like a shadow. Those who commit evil deeds are pursued by consequences like a shadow. Everything in this world has a cause. It's just that some realize it early, some realize it late. Some believe they can escape karma, but in reality, they're merely wandering within their own chain of causes and conditions. Therefore, when one understands the law of karma, one will live more kindly, speak good words, and think good thoughts, because one knows that every arising thought is sowing a seed in the spiritual soil of one's being. In life, there are people who suffer without understanding why, who do much but gain little. They try hard, but still see no results. There are also kind, hard-working people whose lives are full of unfortunate twists. They complain, they grieve, they ask why heaven is so unfair. But Buddha taught that heaven is not unfair. It's just that karmic results don't ripen evenly. Some fruits ripen early, some ripen late. Some seeds sown today will only be harvested in a distant life. Therefore, when we encounter suffering, we should look back at ourselves, ask ourselves what we have done, what we have thought, whom we have caused pain. Because karma is created not only by actions, but also by words, and even by thoughts. One moment of anger gives rise to 1,000 evil deeds. One moment of compassion arising can resolve countless unwholesome conditions. Buddha taught that if you want to know the cause of a past life, look at the results in this life. If you want to know the results of a future life, look at the causes in the present. That teaching seems simple, but contains a treasure trove of wisdom. When we know how to reflect on ourselves, to recognize cause and effect, we will no longer harbor resentment. For we understand that what we receive today are lessons that we ourselves have sown. Those who do evil and harm others will eventually pay. Those who do good and help others will receive blessings. Karma is not biased towards anyone. It does not overlook the poor, nor prioritize the rich. Water flows downstream, rain falls, plants flourish or wither, depending on the seeds originally sown. Life is the same. Those who sow kindness have a peaceful mind, a calm body, and peaceful sleep. Those who sow evil thoughts, even lying on a warm bed, are restless with nightmares. There's a short story from a distant village where, in a small market by the river, the cries of vendors echoed every morning. Among them was an old woman named Tu. Everyone knew her as Mrs. Tu, the vegetable seller. Mrs. Tu lived alone, over 60 years old, and all year round she carried vegetables from her garden to sell at the market. Her vegetables were always fresh and clean. But what was special was that every day she set aside a small, beautiful bunch of vegetables to give to the beggar at the corner of the market. The old man was frail, with dim eyes, no family, and lived day to day on bowls of rice given out of pity. Every day, as soon as he saw Mrs. Tu's shadow from afar, the old man would smile kindly, clasp his hands, and say, "May you have good sales, ma'am." Mrs. Tu would smile back. "I'm just giving you a few vegetables. It's nothing to be grateful for." Many neighbors in the market saw this. Some laughed and mocked. "Mrs. Tu, vegetables are so cheap, the profit is so little, and you give them away for free? Aren't you foolish?" She would just smile, her voice as light as the wind. "Oh well, I have a little extra to help someone get by. What's there to lose?" Then one year, a prolonged dry season made the weather scorching hot. One afternoon, a fire broke out at the corner of the market, caused by someone carelessly knocking over a charcoal stove. In an instant, the flames spread, burning down almost the entire row of stalls. Everyone panicked and screamed, tears mixing with smoke. When the fire was extinguished, people were astonished to see that only Mrs. Tu's vegetable stall remained intact, her goods unburnt, and the tin roof above her only singed with smoke, but not incinerated. People murmured, "Is it true?" Everywhere else burned, but Mrs. Tu's stall didn't. Mrs. Tu quietly wiped her sweat, clasped her hands, bowed her head, and softly said, "That's the blessing of the old beggar." Her simple words silenced the entire market. Everyone remembered the image of Mrs. Tu giving away her freshest bunch of vegetables every day. And from then on, no one called her foolish anymore. People said to each other, "Good deeds beget good rewards. Blessings are not lost. They merely await the day to blossom." That story quickly spread throughout the region. Some believed it, some were skeptical, but everyone felt as if a lamp had been lit in their hearts. Because it is clear that kindness is never in vain. Every good deed, every kind thought, is a seed of blessing sown in the soil of cause and effect. Even if it doesn't bear fruit today, when the conditions are ripe, the tree of blessings will blossom, just like a seed lying hidden in the earth, silently germinating until it meets favorable rain and wind. Then it will vigorously sprout. Blessings are also like that, unseen, but constantly multiplying. Through Mrs. Tu's story, we clearly see one thing. Karma is not deceptive. Heaven and earth know who does good. We might think it's just a small bunch of vegetables, insignificant, but that very sincerity transforms into great, wholesome karma. Karma doesn't distinguish between big or small. It only looks at the heart of the doer. If the heart is compassionate, even a small act becomes a blessing. If the heart is selfish, even a great act yields no merit. Buddha taught that a bowl of rice given with a pure heart is more precious than 1,000 taels of gold given to show off, because the grace of kindness lies in the heart, not in the form. In Buddhism, karma is not punishment, but a reflection. It is like a mirror reflecting all that we have created. When we smile at others, they will smile back. When we bring harm to someone, it will return to us in a different way. Perhaps not immediately, perhaps through many lifetimes, but every cause will bear its corresponding fruit. Therefore, those who understand the Dharma do not blame heaven or others, do not fault circumstances, but look back at themselves. When they encounter suffering, they do not ask why they suffer, but what causes they have sown. When they encounter favorable conditions, they do not become complacent, but give thanks, knowing to dedicate merit to sustain blessings long term. Buddha once said, "No wind can move a mountain, just as no karma can harm one who keeps a kind mind." The mind is the root of karma. If one maintains a kind, peaceful mind, evil karma will gradually dissipate. There are people who have made mistakes, caused harm, but when they know how to repent, turn back, and do good, their karma will also gradually lighten. Because repentance is not just words, but actions of change. Like someone who has poured dirty water into a river. If they continue to pour, the water remains murky. But if they stop and know how to filter it, the river will become clear again. The world naturally operates according to the law of cause and effect. Everything has a cause, a time, and its own result. Sometimes we do good deeds, but do not yet see the blessings. Do not be quick to grieve, because good fruit needs time to ripen. Just as seeds are sown in spring, and fruit is harvested in autumn. Sometimes bad things happen, and we think it's a disaster, but then it opens up other, better opportunities. Therefore, do not be quick to conclude whether something is good luck or bad luck. Everything is a cause and effect, leading us in the right direction. When we understand this, we will cease anger and envy. Seeing others succeed, we do not resent them because we know they are enjoying the blessings they once sowed. Seeing someone suffer, we do not scoff because we know it is the fruit they must repay. But we also understand that any cause can be transformed. Buddha taught that spiritual practice is the transformation of karma. When we cultivate a good heart, keep precepts, do good, and speak kind words, old bad karma will gradually dissolve, and new blessings will gradually arise. Just like murky water, if clear water is continuously poured in, eventually it will naturally become clear. Therefore, every night, before going to sleep, take a moment to reflect on yourself. Ask if today you said any words that made someone happy or sad. What have I done to create good karma or bad karma? If you made a mistake, sincerely repent and vow to do better tomorrow. When the mind is directed toward good, sleep will be peaceful because there will be no more remorse, no more resentment. When the mind knows how to love and let go, you will feel light as the wind. Remember that those who sow good meet good. Those who sow evil meet suffering. No one can escape the law of karma, but everyone can transform it. Life is like a river. Sometimes the water is murky, sometimes it's clear. The important thing is to know how to guide the flow towards the light. If every evening we sow a kind thought, say a word of thanks, do a small act to help others, then every morning we wake up, life will be a little lighter, a little more peaceful. Buddha said, when the mind is at peace, the body is at peace. When the body is at peace, all things are auspicious. When both body and mind are calm, good fortune will come, and ease will follow. Therefore, tonight, as you close your eyes, let all the day's worries vanish like thin smoke. Believe that every good deed you have done, no matter how small, is silently protecting you. Know that every kind word, every smile you give, is a seed of blessing sprouting in this vast universe. Then one day, when blessings are abundant and karma is dispelled, you will find peace in every breath, lightness in every sleep. That is the sweet fruit of a kind heart, the reward for those who live according to the Buddha's teachings, who sow kindness in every moment. Now, amidst the gentle breeze, amidst the quiet stillness of the night, let the Buddha's words penetrate your heart. Let every gentle sound, like the distant ringing of a temple bell, guide you into peaceful sleep. For karma lies not outside us, but in every arising thought. Sow kind thoughts, and life will be good. Sow a peaceful heart, and the night will be calm. Sow a compassionate heart, and blessings will come. And then, sleep will not only be rest for the body, but also peace for the mind. A tranquility that only those who understand the law of karma and live kindly can achieve. Buddha taught that sowing one good seed will cause good flowers to blossom for generations. Sowing one evil seed will reap bitter fruit for myriad lifetimes. But karma is not biased. It comes neither early nor late. It simply manifests when the conditions are ripe. In this life, there are things we do and then forget. But heaven and earth, causes and conditions, and karmic forces never forget. Wholesome karma is like a deep, silent spring, subtly nourishing good things in life. Unwholesome karma is like an underground fire. When the conditions are met, it will erupt and consume even what we cherish. Therefore, those who practice and live kindly will not fear adversity, because they understand that everything arises from causes and conditions. Everything has a reason to appear. Some say that doing good deeds with the expectation of reward is no longer truly good. But if one seeks no reward and good fruits still arise, that is true goodness. Therefore, those who study Buddhism do not do good deeds for gratitude, but to sow wholesome seeds for a future life. A light and peaceful body and mind, in every breath, every action, every word, can sow seeds. A kind word, a small action, can sometimes become the cause and condition to save someone, sometimes a bridge between suffering and happiness. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha once taught that no good deed is ever lost. Even as small as a grain of sand in the desert, when conditions are met, it will blossom like a green sprout piercing through dry earth. That saying reminds us that even if the world changes, even if human hearts are complex, the principle of karma always exists like a law of the universe. Those with kind hearts are protected by heaven. Those who commit evil, no matter where they hide, karma will find them. Today, amidst the worries of life, sometimes we mistakenly believe that good does not triumph over evil, that good people often suffer losses, while the deceitful prosper. But that is only a momentary view, because karma is not measured by days or months, but by the heart and by conditions. A cause must have conditions to bear fruit. Those who sow good causes but encounter unfavorable conditions may not see immediate results, but that seed is still there, waiting for a day with enough sun and rain. It will sprout. Today's story is a testament to that principle. The story of a scholar and a debt of some gratitude from 20 years ago. The story is as simple as a river flowing through a village, but it contains a profound lesson about kindness, karma, and the wonder of goodness. In those days, on a cold, rainy night, the sky was as black as ink, with only the faint glow of oil lamps emanating from the thatched houses by the river. Scholar Nguyen Van Khai had just returned from lecturing at school. The village road was flooded, muddy, and the wind blew piercingly cold. As he passed a small wooden bridge over the river, he heard a desperate cry. A woman had slipped and fallen into the swift current. Without hesitation, he rushed forward, threw off his long robe, and jumped in to save her. The murky water pulled strongly, but with strength and calmness, he brought the woman to shore. The woman shivered, her face pale, unable to speak. He simply took off his coat, draped it over her, and gently said, "Go home. It's very cold tonight. Life is more precious than anything." When she tried to ask his name, he just smiled, shook his head, and quietly walked away. For him, saving a life was as natural as breathing, needing no remembrance, no repayment. 20 years passed, and Nguyen Van Khai was now a renowned scholar. He lectured everywhere, respected by all. But life is impermanent. No one knows when storms will strike. During a lecture on public ethics, he was envied by malicious individuals who falsely accused him of accepting bribes. The false accusation spread quickly, shaking the reputation he had built over a lifetime. He was investigated, dismissed from his position, and faced the risk of imprisonment. People gossiped, and everyone avoided him. He maintained his composure, only saying, "If I have done no wrong, heaven knows, earth knows, and the truth will eventually emerge." But the path to vindication was not easy. Without money or influence, he only had faith in karma and a clear conscience. On the day of the trial, amidst the crowd, a young lawyer stood up and requested to defend him. His name was Tran Minh. His eyes were bright and clear, his voice full of conviction. He said, "I believe this man is innocent, and I take responsibility for proving it." Throughout the days of debate, Tran Minh worked day and night, finding all the evidence, investigating every witness. Finally, the truth was exposed, and the accuser was revealed. Nguyen Van Khai was vindicated. On the day of the verdict, as everyone left, Scholar Khai approached, clasped his hands, and expressed his gratitude. He said, "Thank you, young man. You saved me from this injustice. I don't know how to repay you." Tran Minh smiled and replied, "Sir, my mother once told me that her savior is the person I must protect with my entire life. 20 years ago, you saved my mother from the freezing river. Today, I am simply repaying that to you." Hearing this, Nguyen Van Khai was speechless. He looked at the young man before him and suddenly saw everything as a complete circle. Tears gently fell from his eyes, but they were not tears of sorrow, but tears of gratitude and profound emotion. He understood that karma is not magic, but the extension of good deeds through years, through lives, and even through unspoken connections. After the trial, he often told his students, "Sow kindness, no matter how small. Don't ask when the fruit will come, for it may not come immediately, but it will never be lost." That saying became a great lesson for generations. Through this story, we understand that kindness is a kind of light. It needs no ostentation, no recognition from others. It simply shines silently, enduring through time, through trials, and then returns when the conditions are ripe. The ancients said, "Good begets good, evil begets evil. It simply hasn't reached its time yet." That is truly correct. The kindness we sow today may not bring immediate results, but it will blossom into a good deed in the future. In Buddhist teachings, karma is not merely punishment or reward. It is a reflection of the mind. When we do good, our mind is clear, our intellect pure. When we do evil, our mind is tainted, our intellect clouded. The fruit lies not outside, but within our own thoughts. Each time we initiate a wholesome thought, we change our destiny. Each time we initiate an unwholesome thought, we create suffering for ourselves. A person who practices is one who knows how to choose seeds for their mind. They do not choose hatred, do not choose envy, but choose love, forgiveness, and gratitude, because they understand that if the mind is the soil, all seeds will sprout. Good seeds bear flowers, evil seeds grow thorns. What we sow, life returns. For this reason, a wise person does not complain. When they encounter suffering, they understand it as the fruit of past causes. When they encounter good fortune, they know it is the result of wholesome conditions they have sown. They are not arrogant when they gain, nor despondent when they lose, because they believe everything is guided by karma. What comes, let it come. What goes, let it go. Like a flowing river, it holds no single drop of water, but nourishes an entire plain. In today's life, sometimes we get tired seeing kindness seemingly forgotten. But if we keep a good heart, maintain our faith, heaven and earth will find a way to arrange things. Kindness is not lost. It is merely hidden. Good karma does not wither. It merely awaits the day to blossom. Believe that every good deed we do today, no matter how small, is a prayer sent to the heavens. We may not see immediate results, but somewhere, someone has been saved, warmed, or had their suffering lessened because of our kind heart. And when conditions are met, that blessing will return in another form, gentle and profound, just as scholar Kai was saved, thanks to the very karma he once sowed. Therefore, before sleeping, close your eyes and think of the good things you have done today. Perhaps a smile for a stranger, a word of comfort, an act of helping someone. All are seeds of kindness. When the mind turns towards good, sleep will be peaceful, the body will be calm, and life will gradually brighten. Those who sow good do not need to seek luck, for luck finds them. Those who live kindly do not fear suffering, for suffering is only a condition for learning greater lessons. Remember that karma does not abandon us for even a second. Every thought, every word, every action is weaving the fabric of our lives. If we weave with goodness, the fabric of life will be bright. If we weave with evil, it will be dim and torn. Therefore, choose love, choose forgiveness, choose gratitude, so that every night when you lie down, your mind may be at peace, your heart calm, and your sleep complete. May all who hear these Buddha's teachings tonight find serenity, sleep in peace, and awaken in the light of a new day full of wholesome conditions. Under the soft moonlight, the temple bell echoes through the tranquil night. The listener feels as if they have returned to themselves, listening to the Buddha's teachings on causes and conditions and karmic results. Buddha once said, "One who sows good causes, even through 1,000 lifetimes, good fruits will still blossom. One who sows evil causes, even if they escape to the ends of the earth, bitter fruits will still find them." Therefore, whenever our hearts are filled with resentment, whenever we feel we have been wronged, let us ask ourselves, is this an old debt, a past connection, returning to be resolved? In life, no one meets by chance. Every encounter, every relationship is a karmic connection carried over from distant past lives. In the endless cycle of samsara, no one escapes the law of karma. Some live kindly, but encounter suffering. Some committed evil deeds, but are now wealthy. It is not that heaven is unfair, but that the karmic conditions are not yet ripe, the karmic retribution not yet complete. When the fruit is not yet ripe, people may think karma is not real, but like a seed deep in the earth, it only waits for enough sun and rain to sprout. Life is also like this. Every action, every thought, no matter how small, sows causes and conditions for tomorrow. Therefore, instead of complaining or blaming, live kindly. Know how to let go. For compassion is the only path to resolve all old karma. Long ago, in the region of Quang Nam, there was a merchant named Lam Hu Phuoc. He was known as a kind and honest man in business, respected by many. One day, he bought a thin, weak horse at a cheap price from the horse market. The seller said the horse was gentle and hard-working, and with good care, it would help him in long-distance trade. But strangely, from the moment he brought it home, the horse always proved untamable. It often tried to kick and bite, even tearing its tether to run off. Mr. Phuoc, being a benevolent man, could not bring himself to beat it. He would only softly say, "You have come to me," which means there is a connection. I will take good care of you, hoping that one day you will understand human kindness. But strangely, the kinder he was to it, the fiercer the horse became. His servants told him, "Perhaps you should sell it. Keeping it might harm you one day." But he only smiled. Everything in this world has a reason. I believe it came to me to teach me something. One afternoon, as he was leading the horse to a stream for water, he happened to meet a monk on alms round. The monk stopped, looked at the horse for a long time, and then slowly said, "Goodness gracious, goodness gracious. This horse did not come to you without a reason. In a previous life, you were robbed of your shoes by someone while trading in a foreign land. That person later carried deep regret, and upon death vowed, 'If there is another life, I wish to be reborn as an animal to repay that person's debt.' Now, with the ripening of karmic conditions, he has been reborn as this horse to repay the debt. But because his mind is not yet calm and still harbors resentment, he behaves so fiercely. Give him time and treat him with compassion." Mr. Phuoc felt a lightness in his heart after hearing this. From that day on, he treated the horse even better. He didn't make it carry heavy loads, often personally cared for it, stroked it, and talked to it like a friend. Gradually, the horse also changed. It was no longer aggressive, its eyes became gentle, and whenever he approached, it would gently bow its head as if in thanks. The villagers saw this, and all said, "He must have great virtue, for even animals can feel it." Many years passed. The horse grew old and weak, and one autumn morning it lay down, took a soft breath, and then passed away. Mr. Fuak buried it by the mango tree behind his house, feeling a little sorrow, but not sadness. That night, he dreamed of a man dressed in simple clothes, kneeling before him, choked with emotion, saying, "In a past life, I stole your shoes, causing you suffering on your journey. Now I have repaid my debt, and I thank your benevolent heart for not harboring resentment. Thanks to your generosity, I have been liberated." Saying this, the man bowed 3 times and then dissolved into light. Waking from that dream, Mr. Fuak wept. He realized that everything that comes to us, whether human or animal, whether kindness or enmity, is not outside the realm of karma. Not only humans have souls, all living beings have consciousness. When we treat others with kindness and compassion, that energy spreads, helping to resolve past grievances. The story of Mr. Lam Hu Fuak made people reflect. Sometimes, those who cause us suffering are the very people who come to repay a debt to us. They may hurt us, make us suffer. But it is precisely in that suffering that we learn how to forgive, how to love unconditionally. If Mr. Fuak had chosen to beat and resent the horse, perhaps that enmity would have continued in the next life. But because he chose compassion, that karma was resolved, the other person was liberated, and his mind found peace and blessings increased. Buddha once taught that hatred cannot destroy hatred. Only compassion can destroy hatred. That is an eternal law. When we understand this, we will no longer cling or resent, because we know that everyone in our lives is a lesson. Some teach us faith, some teach us patience, some teach us to let go, and some teach us unconditional love. All are karmic connections. Therefore, if one day you are betrayed, insulted, or hurt by someone, do not be quick to resent. Perhaps they are an old debt of yours from a past life. If you repay it with hatred, the debt will continue. But if you repay it with forgiveness, the debt is resolved. Believe that every time we choose kindness, we are cutting a thread of karma in the cycle of samsara. Karma is not wrong. It's just that people lack the patience to wait. When we sow good causes, even if the fruit has not yet ripened, continue to do good. Just as a person who sows seeds cannot demand flowers to bloom immediately after scattering them on the ground. Trust in time, for good seeds will blossom when conditions are ripe, and when night falls, before closing your eyes to sleep. Think of those who have troubled you. Do not resent and do not hold on to memories. Just gently smile and say in your heart, "If this is an old debt, I will repay it with love. If this is a good connection, I vow to continue to cultivate it." When the mind is no longer entangled, sleep will be peaceful, and tomorrow morning you will find life gentler. Because karma is not just about past or future lives, it is happening in every moment. in every thought, in every word and action. When your mind is at peace, all old karma is resolved. When your heart is kind, blessings naturally arise. Those who know how to forgive never lose. Those who know compassion never suffer. So sleep in peace, because you understand that all connections are meant to resolve. Everyone who comes into your life carries a destiny. Don't resent anyone. Don't hate anyone. Be grateful, for they have helped you repay debts, helped you learn to let go, so that your body and mind are light and your sleep peaceful. And tomorrow, good fortune and ease will come naturally, like breath. That is the profound meaning of karma. Repay debts to lighten your heart. Live kindly to make your life peaceful. And when you understand this, every sleep will be a return to peace, enveloped in wholesome energy, so that every morning your mind is as clear as the first rays of sunlight, illuminating all paths of karmic connection. In this life, there are things that seem small, but contain the profound wisdom of the Dharma. Buddha taught that one who sows a seed of kindness will reap a forest of peaceful happiness. When we give joy, that is when we cultivate blessings. When we help others find happiness, that is also when we create an environment for our own peace. All are interconnected, like ripples spreading on a lake. Happiness is not something to be clutched and possessed, but a flowing water. Only when it flows is it clear, cool, and able to nourish all beings. In Buddhism, compassion is considered the foundation of all wholesome karma. Tu, metta, is to give joy. Byad, karuna, is to alleviate suffering. When we do good deeds, it's not just hoping others will be grateful, but because our own hearts naturally feel peaceful and light. Sometimes, just a kind word, a small action, is enough to change someone's life. And from that wholesome energy, the universe will respond with serenity, ease, and invisible blessings that ordinary eyes cannot see. Buddha taught that a single flower cannot spread its fragrance in the wind by itself. There must be other flowers blooming together, spreading their fragrance together, forming a shared scent. Humans are also like that. Living in the world, one cannot be isolated. One cannot only think of oneself. The more one shares, the greater the blessings. The more one gives, the fuller the heart. The more one clings, the more one fears loss, the more one loses. Those who dare to open their hearts, who dare to let go, gain more. That is the paradox that only the wise recognize. Long ago in the Mekong Delta, there lived an old farmer named Sao Bin. Everyone in the region knew him as a kind, hard-working man with very green thumbs. Whatever he planted flourished. Whatever seed he sowed sprouted lush and green. Especially, he had a famous variety of sweet corn. His corn had golden, plump kernels, crispy, fragrant, and much sweeter than everyone else's corn. Every year, people in the area came to ask for seeds to plant, but many were also wary. Afraid, he kept the secret to himself. However, contrary to their thoughts, Uncle Sao was very happy to share. Anyone who came to ask, he would take the best seeds from his seed pouch, hand them over, and carefully instruct them on how to sow and care for them. Someone asked him, "Uncle Sao, if you give people such good seeds, what if everyone else can grow good corn? Will your corn still sell for a good price?" He smiled gently. His eyes, though lined with wrinkles, shone like river water reflecting the sun. He slowly said, "The wind carries pollen everywhere. If other people's cornfields are poor, and their pollen blows into my field, my corn will also suffer. Only when my neighbor's fields are good, when their seeds are good, and the wind carries that pollen into my field, will my corn taste even better. Helping others grow good corn means helping my own field become better." Those words awakened the listeners. It turned out that helping others was not losing anything, but making the surrounding environment healthy and good. And from that, he himself benefited. Like Uncle Sao, he understood the laws of nature as well as the laws of karma. When everyone else is good, one cannot be bad. When everyone is happy, one cannot be miserable. So, year after year, he continued to share his precious corn seeds throughout the region. He gave to the poor for free, and for those better off, he only took a symbolic small amount of money. Anyone who came to learn, he would painstakingly teach. He said, "Trees, heaven, and earth, rain, they all give to us without calculation. If humans only keep their share to themselves, it's like a stagnant pond that will eventually become murky. Only when it flows, when it shares, does water become clear." Thanks to his heart, before long, the entire area around Uncle Sao's house was filled with the golden color of corn. Everyone's corn was sweet. Everyone's fields were good. People began to call that area Blessed Corn Village because every household was prosperous. Every season was bountiful. Someone asked Uncle Sao, "How are you so lucky? All year round, you have favorable rain and wind. You never have a bad harvest." He just smiled. "Because I don't wish only for myself. I wish for the whole village to do well. When everyone is well, heaven also shows compassion." One year, there was a severe drought in the region. Many places had no water for irrigation, but Uncle Sao's fields and those nearby remained lush and green. People in the area spread rumors that he had heavenly blessings, but he only said it was a resonance of blessings, or shared blessings. When everyone lives well, when everyone knows how to help each other, the energy of goodness spreads. Heaven and earth naturally regulate themselves. That is karma. Indeed, life is like a field. If you only care for one corner and neglect the rest, the wind will bring dust and pests to the very place you protect. But if everyone cares for it, everyone cultivates it, then the entire field will thrive. When we help others live well, we are protecting our own happiness. Buddha once taught that helping others is helping oneself. Harming others is harming oneself. The human mind is like a mirror reflecting all our actions. When we sow joy for others, our mind opens, our wisdom shines brighter, and our merit becomes greater. When we are selfish and envious, our heart narrows, and that energy returns to torment us. The story of Uncle Sao and the shared seeds is a living testament to this principle. He didn't study Buddhism through scriptures. He didn't know the sutras, but he lived with the heart of a Buddha. Because the Buddha does not reside in temples, but in the hearts of those who know how to love, how to give, how to live in harmony with all beings. The meaning of the story lies not only in sharing seeds, but also as a metaphor for how people should treat each other in life. That seed is the good heart. It is love. When we sow that seed in the hearts of others, it will sprout. It will blossom in their hearts. And then it will spread back to us. People help people. Life helps life. This universe is a cycle of wholesome thoughts. This shows that blessings do not arise from hoarding, but from spreading. Many people think that the more they hold on to, the more they gain. But in reality, the more they hold on to, the more they lose. It's like water. If it doesn't flow, it will stink. Like a corn plant. If there is no wind to carry pollen, it will never bear cobs. Life is the same. If you want happiness, let happiness spread. Through that, we understand that kindness is never a loss. Giving is a way to receive more. But what is received is not material things, but peace in the heart. An invisible good fortune that follows us throughout life. When we know how to help others, heaven helps us. When we know how to think of others, others also think of us. That is the cycle of karma, the miracle of compassion. Therefore, whenever we see someone in need of help, even if it's a small matter, help with a joyful heart, without thinking that we are bestowing a favor. See it as doing something for yourself. When helping others, think that we are sowing seeds of blessing. When praising others, think that we are spreading flowers on their path. When forgiving, think that we are unlocking our own heart. Those who know how to give never suffer. Those who know how to share never suffer. Because when we live with a generous heart, blessings arise from it. When we live with a narrow heart, karma increases from it. This life doesn't need much calculation. Just know how to love, how to think, how to live truly kindly, and naturally, all things will be favorable. So every night before sleeping, think about today. Who did I make happy? What words did I say that lightened someone's heart? What good thing did I share? If so, smile, for those are blessings sprouting. If not, don't be sad. Just cultivate a kind thought. And tomorrow will bring another opportunity. Remember that happiness does not come from what we have, but from what we give away. Like Uncle Sal, the more he gave, the more he received. Not material things, but joy, peace, and the affection of others. That is the sweet fruit of kind seeds. So tonight, as you lie down, let your heart soften. Think that tomorrow, you, too, will be like Uncle Sal, sowing a good seed in the heart of another. It could be a kind word, a smile, or perhaps just patience. Even if small, when the winds of karma blow, it will travel far and then return, making your life sweeter. Believe that the universe never lets down a kind person. Believe that helping others is sowing blessings. Believe that living kindly is the only path to a peaceful body and mind, to good sleep, to waking up tomorrow in good fortune and the light of compassion. Because when we know how to share, we are in harmony with the rhythm of heaven and earth. And in that rhythm, the mind is at peace, life is peaceful, and blessings are forever abundant. Buddha taught that there are 4 kinds of people in life. Some go from darkness to darkness. Some go from darkness to light. Some go from light to darkness. And some go from light and remain in the light. It sounds simple, but hidden within these 4 types of people are 4 states of mind. 4 paths of karma, which each of us is treading, whether unconsciously or consciously. Some are born in suffering, and then live in suffering, to then die in the darkness of ignorance. Some were once lost, once fell into the depths of sin. But thanks to a single good thought, they turned back to find the light within themselves. There are also those who once lived kindly, were once respected, but then, due to greed, anger, and delusion, lost their integrity, lost the light in their hearts. And there are also those who are born in light, live in light, keeping their minds pure and good until they close their eyes, leaving behind a fragrant life like a lotus blooming in the mud. In the tranquil night, when a small lamp flickers in the corner of the room, let us reflect on our lives and see which of the 4 types of people we belong to. Sometimes we think we are in the light, but in reality, we have been covered by the dust of ego, anger, delusion, and illusory thoughts. And sometimes, in the darkest days, just a word of awakening, a thought of kindness arising, is enough to illuminate the entire path ahead. Life is like a journey, and light or darkness is the direction we choose in every thought, every word, every small daily action. Buddha taught that the mind is like a lamp. If carefully tended, its light shines everywhere. If neglected, the winds of karma will extinguish it. Therefore, a wise person does not seek light outside, but within their own heart. There are people who spend their whole lives seeking peace in temples, on distant pilgrimages, without knowing that peace truly only requires a moment of mindful breath, a thought of stopping, a heart that knows how to love. When the mind is clear, darkness also transforms into a path to learn, to understand, to let go. When the mind is dark, even standing amidst golden temples and jade palaces, light cannot penetrate. Therefore, the important thing is not where we are, but where our mind is directed. There is a beautiful story about a woman named Han. She was born in a poor rural area in central Vietnam. Her childhood passed amidst scorching sun and heavy rain. From a young age, Han had to struggle. She grew up and married early. Then, due to poverty, she fell into gambling. In the afternoons, after the market closed, Han would sit at a small tea house at the village entrance, her eyes red, hands trembling, holding lottery tickets, hoping luck would change her life. But life didn't change. Only debt accumulated more and more. Her husband couldn't endure the destitution. He left to work far away and never returned. Han alone carried a large debt on her shoulders, worrying for her 2 small children, and enduring the criticism of the villagers. Every night, Han couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, her mind filled with only debt figures and reproachful voices. Once, out of extreme exhaustion, Han even thought of taking her own life. But just then, she heard the temple bell resonating in the wind. The sound of the bell touched her heart, like an invisible hand gently awakening her. The next morning, she went to the small temple at the village entrance, where a kind nun often taught people to recite Buddha's name and meditate. At first, Han just sat silently, her heart still full of inner storms. But the nun said, "Try to breathe gently. Observe your breath. When you breathe in, know you are breathing in. When you breathe out, know you are breathing out. Each breath is a miracle, for it gives you another chance to live. At that moment, Han cried, tears flowing not from suffering, but from realizing she had never truly lived. For years, she had only chased after money, after luck, and illusions, forgetting her breath, forgetting herself. From that day on, Han began to go to the temple regularly. She practiced meditation, chanted sutras, learned to let go little by little. Whenever she felt troubled, she would go sit under the Bodhi tree behind the temple, watching the leaves fall, listening to the wind, then gently smiling. She began to repay her debts in a different way, not just financial debts, but life's debts, repaying herself with sincerity and repentance. Han volunteered to cook for the poor and help elderly people who lived alone. The villagers gradually changed their view of her. No one called her Gambler Han anymore, but by the affectionate name, Han the Mindful. A few years later, she set up a small tea house in front of the temple, serving pilgrims for free. She greeted everyone who came with a kind smile. When someone asked why she did this without taking money, Han simply replied, "In the past, I went from darkness to darkness. Now I just want to go from darkness to light. I know that when I help others feel refreshed, my own heart feels refreshed too." The story of Han helps us understand the 4 types of people in life more clearly. The first type, from darkness to darkness, are those who live in ignorance and do not want to escape. They do wrong, know it's wrong, but continue. Because their minds are obscured by greed, anger, and delusion, they are like people walking in the dark, seeing a distant light, but turning away, afraid the light will expose their faults. The second type, from darkness to light, like Han, were once lost, once fell, but had the courage to turn back. They understand that darkness is not scary. What is scary is when we refuse to open our eyes to see the light. Just one good thought, one word of repentance, one wholesome action can change one's entire destiny. Because karma is created by us, it can also be transformed by us. The third type, from light to darkness, are those who once lived in blessings, once did good deeds, but then, due to arrogance and greed, lost themselves. Some wealthy people once did good, but when praised, they developed arrogance and were gradually drawn into the pursuit of fame and power. They forgot that light is not for showing off, but for illuminating the path. When light is obscured by ego, even with a house full of gold and silver, the heart remains dark. And finally, the fourth type, from light to light. These are people born with good seeds within them, and who know how to preserve those seeds until the end of their lives. They are not swayed by praise or criticism, not moved by wealth or power. They live simply, happily, knowing how to love others, how to help the world. And when they depart from this realm, they leave behind a warm light in the hearts of others. 4 types of people, 4 paths. Where are you on that journey? Perhaps today you are in darkness, but if you have faith, if you have a kind heart, you can still emerge into the light. It's also possible that today you are in the light, but if you are heedless, you will enter darkness. Life is impermanent. Everything changes Therefore, be mindful in every moment, because just one spark of light can dispel darkness. Through Han's story, we see that light does not come from afar. It comes from recognition. Recognizing mistakes, recognizing suffering, recognizing the wrong path we are on, and having the courage to stop. That stopping is the first step towards awakening. Awakening is not something profound. It's when we understand karma, understand that everything that happens is a lesson for us to return to ourselves. If our mind is good, suffering also transforms into good soil for seeds of peace to sprout. If our mind is dark, even if we live in wealth, our heart will not be at peace. Therefore, do not blame life. Do not blame anyone. Look into your heart. Look at the seeds you sow every day. Choose to sow good seeds, no matter how small. For one good seed today can blossom into a bright light tomorrow. Buddha taught that no one can save us but ourselves. Han saved her own life, not by magic, but by mindfulness. Just like an oil lamp, if it is relit once, it can burn brightly, even if the wind blows. But if we keep sinking into the darkness of self-pity, resentment, and torment, no one can pull us out. Remember that every time we help others, we are helping ourselves. Every time we open our hearts to forgive, we are releasing a burden from our minds. Every time we choose kindness, we are taking one more step towards the light. The path to light is not a path paved with flowers, but a path paved with stopping, with understanding, with letting go. Tonight, before sleeping, sit still, relax, breathe gently, and think about the good things you have done today. If anyone made you sad, forgive them. If there's anything you regret, let it go. Light a lamp in your heart to illuminate yourself. For only when your heart is bright will your sleep be peaceful, your body calm, and tomorrow truly beautiful. Believe that anyone can go from darkness to light. Just one kind thought, and that light, once ignited in the heart, will never fade. Buddha taught that no one in life escapes suffering. From birth until the moment of death, people journey through three kinds of suffering: natural suffering, karmic suffering, and illusory suffering. These three kinds of suffering intertwine and blend, causing people to be happy sometimes, sad sometimes, peaceful sometimes, and troubled sometimes. Some blame heaven and earth. Some drown in suffering without knowing the cause. But a wise person sees suffering as an opportunity to understand, to let go, to awaken. Because Buddha once taught that no one suffers because of life, but only because their mind does not know how to see life. Natural suffering is the inherent suffering of the physical body. Born, one must endure hunger, cold, illness, old age. Karmic suffering is the consequence of karmic causes sown in this life or previous lives. And illusory suffering is the kind of suffering created by one's own mind, by constantly fearing, worrying, envying, clinging, and fantasizing about things yet to come. These three kinds of suffering are three layers of waves, and only when the mind is at peace do the waves subside. A person who understands the Dharma does not seek to avoid suffering, but learns to understand suffering so that suffering becomes a teacher, a path leading them to peace. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha taught that among all sufferings, the mind is the root. If the mind is deluded, there is suffering. If the mind is clear, there is joy. This means that all pain, whether external or internal, can be transformed if we know how to turn inward and illuminate ourselves. Suffering is not an enemy. Suffering is a warning bell, reminding us that we are going in the wrong direction. Like a traveler in the desert, thirst makes them stop, find water, and thereby survive. Suffering is similar. It makes us stop, look deeply, and begin to walk with new awareness. Long ago, in the Mekong Delta, there was a carpenter named Ba Lan. His name, Lan, meaning gentle, sounded kind, but his life was anything but. From youth to old age, he lived in hardship and toil, never having a moment of ease. The carpentry trade, though steady, had unstable income. Sometimes people paid him poorly. Sometimes customers didn't pay their debts. Now he was ill. His son was in school. His house was dilapidated. And all burdens fell on his shoulders, calloused by the years. Many nights he sat silently in the dark, looking at his cracked hands, his heart filled with profound suffering. Suffering from poverty, from a weary body, from the smallness of human fate. That is natural suffering, the suffering of the body. Everyone has it. When the body is chilled by the wind, we suffer. When the body is ill, we suffer. When old age comes, hair turns gray, skin wrinkles, we suffer. Whether a king or a beggar, this body must endure that law. Mr. Ba Lan understood, but did not accept it. He often complained, "Why is my life so miserable? I work so hard, but never get ahead." Then he began to grow discontent, speaking harshly to his wife and children, even getting angry with kind neighbors. He thought life was a series of sufferings with no way out, until another suffering struck one day. His only son, Tam, fell while helping his father carry wood, sustained severe injuries, and passed away. Mr. and Mrs. Ba Lan lost everything. He didn't cry, only remained silent. A few days later, people saw him sitting by his son's altar, his eyes sunken, his face haggard. Everyone in the village felt pity, but no one dared to comfort him, because the pain of losing a child was something no words could soothe. That is karmic suffering, the fruit of karmic causes in life. Perhaps it was his own karma. Perhaps it was shared karma between father and son. People only see the consequences, but Buddha sees the causes and conditions. Some losses come to repay debts. Some sufferings come to awaken us, helping us realize something deeper about impermanence and letting go. But at that time, Mr. Ba Lan did not understand. He only knew he was falling into the darkness of despair. After his son's funeral, he abandoned his trade, wandering aimlessly day after day, no longer caring about anything. Whenever anyone asked, he would only reply, "I've suffered enough. What more do I have to lose?" One afternoon, he stopped at the gate of the village temple. The sound of the bell resonated in the tranquil space, spreading like waves, touching his heart. In the temple yard, an old monk was sweeping leaves. Seeing him standing silently, the monk called him in, poured him a cup of hot tea, and invited him to sit. The monk asked, "You are suffering greatly, aren't you?" He nodded, tears falling. He recounted his life, from poverty to losing his son to an unceasing pain. The monk listened, then smiled gently. Suffering is not for complaining, but for learning to let go. You have encountered 3 kinds of suffering, but you haven't fully understood them. Mr. Ba looked at the monk blankly. The monk slowly said, "Bodily suffering is natural suffering. Anyone born human must endure it. The suffering of losing a child is karmic suffering due to past causes and conditions. And the suffering you are holding in your heart, even though you are sitting here, the sky is calm, the wind is cool, no one is harming you, yet you still suffer. That is illusory suffering. It is not real, but it traps you in darkness." Mr. Ba asked, "What is illusory suffering, Master?" The monk replied, "Illusory suffering is suffering due to imagination. You fear loneliness tomorrow, fear being poor forever, fear your child died unjustly, fear people will laugh at you. These fears do not actually exist, but you believe they are real. It's like someone having a nightmare. In the dream, you run, sweat, and are terrified. But when you wake up, you realize no one was chasing you. Your mind is dreaming. That's why you suffer." Hearing this, Mr. Ba was silent for a long time. He began to understand that for years, most of his pain did not come from outside, but from within his mind, from clinging to poverty, from the belief that he was unfortunate, from the thought that losing his son was the end. But in reality, nothing was truly lost. His son was gone, but his love remained. This frail body suffered, but if the mind knew how to be still, it could still be at peace. From that day on, Mr. Ba stayed at the temple. For 3 days, he helped the monk repair bamboo tables and chairs. In the evenings, he listened to the Dharma and practiced meditation. Whenever he missed his son, he recited the Buddha's name. The monk taught him, "When you feel pain, do not push it away. Sit quietly and look at the pain as you would a crying child. When you look deeply, you will see that pain is also just a stream of water. It will eventually flow away." Gradually, his face became gentle, his eyes brighter. Villagers who came to the temple were all surprised to see him. He was still the same Mr. Ba from years ago, but he seemed different. When someone asked if his wife was still suffering, he just smiled. "Yes, but I know what suffering is, so suffering no longer knocks me down." The story of Mr. Ba Lan is a true depiction of human life. Natural suffering is the body's part, karmic suffering is karma's part, illusory suffering is the mind's part. Everyone experiences these 3 types of suffering, but only those who know how to observe them will not be bound by them. Because if we don't understand, we will resent, cling, fear, and thereby create more suffering for ourselves. But if we understand, we will know how to use suffering as a teacher. Natural suffering helps us appreciate health, cherish every breath, every day of life. Karmic suffering helps us awaken to causes and conditions so as not to sow evil causes. Illusory suffering helps us learn to be mindful, not letting the mind wander in delusions. When we clearly see the root, we will realize that suffering is also just a part of life. Not scary, not needing to be avoided. Buddha taught that knowing suffering is the beginning of wisdom. One who dares to look suffering directly in the face without running away has already traveled halfway to peace. For in suffering, there is a cause, and in the cause, there's a seed of enlightenment. When the body hurts, we learn to care for the body. When the heart hurts, we learn to care for others. When the mind is deluded, we learn to awaken. All are lessons. It is for this reason that on sleepless nights, instead of complaining, try sitting still, listening to your breath. With each inhale, know that you are alive. With each exhale, release a worry. If the body is tired, show it compassion. If the mind is heavy, lighten it. Close your eyes. Imagine the light of compassion shining throughout your body, soothing all suffering. When the mind is calm, the body is also at peace. Do not fear suffering. Suffering comes to remind us to return. Just as rain comes to wash away worldly dust, suffering comes to cleanse the mind. Believe that no suffering is meaningless. Every pain is a door that, when we pass through, leads to peace on the other side. Remember the Buddha's teaching. In suffering, there is wisdom. In wisdom, there is peace. If we know how to observe, how to live mindfully, how to love, how to let go, we will no longer fear suffering. Because then, we will understand that suffering and joy are merely two sides of the same river. That river flows through us, but we are not the river. Tonight, if anyone is tossing and turning with worries, let your heart settle. Whether it's bodily suffering, karmic suffering, or mental suffering, all will eventually pass. Light a lamp of understanding in your heart. For when we understand, we no longer fear. When we don't fear, suffering dissipates. And when suffering dissipates, peace will naturally appear, like the moonlight illuminating a calm lake. Live in peace, for suffering is a teacher, a friend, a guide leading us to the shore of awakening. One who understands suffering has begun to find happiness. Buddha once taught that the human mind is like the surface of a lake. When the water is agitated, the moon's reflection cannot be seen. When the mind is still, all things are clear. Similarly, this life is only truly comfortable when we know how to keep our hearts calm, not chasing after unnecessary things, not clinging to things we shouldn't cling to. These 7 things we should not do in life. If we can let them go, sleep will be light, breath will be peaceful, and the heart will become at ease. In life, everyone has strayed onto the detours of ignorance. Some endlessly chase responsibility, forgetting themselves. Some deceive themselves to avoid confronting pain. Some live for the opinions of others, thereby losing their inherent kindness. Some are drowned in the past. Some fear making mistakes. Some are addicted to desires. Some waste time on things that don't matter. These things sound normal, but they are precisely the source of weariness in body and mind, leading to sleepless nights and joyless days. Long ago, there was a man named Tuan. He was an office worker living in a bustling city, full of lights but lacking inner light. Tuan was inherently kind and hardworking, but throughout his life, he only knew how to live according to the expectations of others. Every day, he woke up before dawn, hastily put on his coat, and wore a fake smile to go to work. He was afraid of being criticized, afraid of being forgotten, afraid of not being liked. He never dared to do what he truly wanted, nor did he dare to express his true feelings. Then one day, Tuan lost his job. Everything seemed to collapse. He felt empty, lost like a small boat in a heavy rain. That night, he sat silently by the window, listening to the rain fall. His heart feeling as if something had shattered. In that moment, he remembered what he had lived for all those years. He had tried his best, but not for happiness, only for recognition. He had smiled, but not out of joy, but out of fear of displeasing others. That night, he opened his phone and accidentally read a Buddha quote, "Do not seek yourself in the eyes of others." That sentence resonated like a small bell in the darkness of his heart. He sat for a long time, then gently smiled. He realized that for all those years, he had never truly lived. He was just a shadow of himself, bound by expectations and fears. From then on, Tuan began to change. He was no longer rushed, no longer tried to please anyone. Every morning, he sat quietly for 10 minutes, closed his eyes, and listened to his breath. He learned to look at things more lightly. When someone said something unpleasant, he just smiled. When he failed, he didn't blame himself. When he succeeded, he didn't boast. He realized that true peace does not come from outside, but from the mind knowing how to stop. Once, a friend asked, "Aren't you afraid of losing out? Aren't you afraid of being left behind?" He replied, "Before, I was afraid because I thought I had to run to prove something. Now I just want to live true to myself. When the mind doesn't contend, no one can take away my peace." Tuan called his past mistakes. Each mistake was a closed door, but also an open door to awakening. The first thing he realized: don't avoid responsibility. Previously, Tuan often blamed circumstances, others, or bad luck. He didn't know that when we avoid responsibility, we are also avoiding the opportunity to grow. Responsibility is not a burden, but life's way of teaching us to mature. Buddha taught that every action, every word, every thought creates karma. When we are ready to take responsibility, we are taking ownership of our own karma. No one can make us suffer if our heart knows how to accept and let go. The second thing Tuan learned was not to deceive himself. He used to say he was fine, while his heart was full of hurt. He used to say he was happy, but tears flowed silently. Buddha taught that deceiving others is karma. Deceiving oneself is suffering. Because when we deceive ourselves, the mind will no longer be clear. The mind is like water. Only when it's clear can it reflect the moon. The truth may hurt, but lies lead us astray. So Tuan learned to be honest, even if only with himself. When sad, he admitted he was sad. When tired, he allowed himself to rest. When lost, he stopped to find his way. The third thing he realized was not to try to be someone else. Previously, he always viewed life through the lens of comparison. Seeing others excel, he felt inferior. Seeing others struggle, he felt superior. But then he understood that no one is born to be a copy of anyone else. Each person is a unique flower, blooming in its own way. Some flowers bloom early, some late, some only when it rains. If we try to be like someone else, we lose our true fragrance and color. Buddha once taught, "Be your own island." Only when we know how to stand firm in our true self can we truly find peace. The fourth thing he reminded himself of every night: don't dwell on the past. When he was younger, Tuan often felt regret. He remembered missed opportunities, people who had left, things that could have been different. But then he understood that the past is a shadow. The more you chase it, the further it recedes. Buddha said, "Do not cling to what has passed. Do not long for what has not yet come. Only the present is real." When the mind clings to the past, the body becomes weary. When the mind is in the present, the body feels light. So he learned to breathe, to smile at this moment. Every time the rain fell outside his window, he felt warmth in his heart, realizing that as long as he had breath, he could always start again. The fifth thing Tuan learned was how to overcome the fear of making mistakes. He used to be so afraid of failure that he dared not do anything. But then he realized that fearing mistakes is the biggest mistake. No one in this life is perfect. Buddha taught that there is no path without stumbling. Only those who know how to get up after falling truly move forward. Failure is not scary. What is scary is letting it extinguish the light in your heart. Tuan began to try again the things he had once given up. He learned to draw, to meditate, to cook, to be silent. And in each of these small acts, he found simple joys he had never known before. The sixth thing he understood was not to indulge in every desire. He used to think that having a lot of money would bring happiness, having a lover would lessen loneliness, and being praised would make him feel valuable. But the more he had, the emptier he felt. Buddha taught that desire is like fire. The more oil you pour on it, the more it burns. When the mind constantly demands, we are never satisfied. True happiness does not lie in having more, but in having less. Less greed, less anger, less clinging. A simple meal, a peaceful breath, a quiet sleep. These are the greatest blessings. And finally, the thing he always remembered: don't waste time on unworthy people. In the past, he had spent his entire youth trying to please people who didn't care. He had silently endured, cried in loneliness, apologized even when he wasn't wrong. But Buddha taught that those who cause you suffering are also those who teach you to love yourself. When you know how to protect your heart, know whom to keep close, know when to leave when necessary, that is not selfishness, but wisdom. Tuan understood that no one can hurt us if we don't allow it. And true compassion is not enduring, but letting go in peace. From that day, Tuan's life changed. He wasn't richer or more famous, but he smiled more, slept better, and his mind was more at peace. Every night before bed, he sat still, clasped his hands, and softly chanted, "May this heart be calm. May all resentments be resolved. May this body be light as clouds, this mind bright as the moon." Perhaps peace doesn't come from anything grand. It's just a moment when we no longer torment ourselves, no longer run away, no longer deceive. It's when we know how to live true to ourselves, know how to admit mistakes without self-reproach, know how to love without needing reciprocation. When our burden is light, this whole world also feels light. Those 7 things we should not do, though seemingly simple, how many can truly uphold them? Those who avoid responsibility will never grow. Those who deceive themselves will never find peace. Those who try to be someone else will never find themselves. Those who dwell in the past will forever forget the present. Those who fear making mistakes will never dare to live. Those who indulge in desires will never be satisfied. Those who waste time on unworthy people will have no time for themselves. Therefore, every night before closing your eyes, ask your heart, was I true to myself today? If the answer is yes, then no matter how many challenges life holds, you can sleep peacefully. Buddha taught that one who knows how to let go is one who knows how to sleep well. Because only when the mind is unburdened can dreams be peaceful. When the heart doesn't cling, breath is light. And night is no longer a fear, but a kind friend. It lulls us with the sound of rain, the gentle breeze, the calm rhythm of our heart. If tonight you are still restless, gently slow your breath, close your eyes, and release all worries. Remember that this life truly doesn't need too much, just a soul that knows how to live authentically, a heart that knows how to love, and a mind that knows how to let go. Then sleep will come, light as dew, warm as moonlight, peaceful as the distant chime of a temple bell in the night. May you find peace every night. May your heart be gentle and your mind clear, whether in dream or wakefulness. May you keep a gentle smile on your lips, even if life changes. For when the heart is at peace, nothing can keep us from sleeping well. There is only the stillness of the night, the gentle rain, and the soft breath of one returning to themselves. Buddha once taught that when the mind is at peace, life naturally finds peace. When the heart is still, all scenes are calm. Life is not without storms, but it lacks a mind that knows how to stand still amidst the waves. One who knows how to let go, how to be patient, how to stop amidst meaningless things, will find that they don't need to defeat anyone to achieve peace. There are 2 things one should not ask, and 3 things one should not contend over. Knowing this, the heart will be light, sleep peaceful, and life naturally gentle. In daily life, we are often drawn into matters that don't concern us. Seeing someone sad, we are curious. Seeing someone happy, we want to know the reason. Seeing others compete, we also want to interject a word. Then, countless unnecessary troubles arise. Many relationships break down, not due to major issues, but merely because of unintentional words that didn't need to be spoken. Buddha taught that the mouth is the gate of karma. A single word spoken can save someone, or it can cause pain. Therefore, a person who knows how to guard their words, who knows when to be silent, is truly wise. 2 things not to ask means not to ask about private lives, and not to ask about other people's family matters. Each person's private life is their own garden. We cannot enter without leaving footprints. Other people's family matters, if there is no connection, we should not delve into, should not judge. Because we only see the surface, while the inner causes and conditions are known only to heaven, earth, and their hearts. A question that seems caring can sometimes sting the listener's heart. A seemingly unintentional remark can touch a hidden wound someone is concealing. 3 things not to contend over means not to contend over right or wrong, not to contend for face/prestige, and not to contend over gain or loss. Because the more one contends, the more agitated the heart becomes. The more one competes, the more uneasy the mind becomes. Those who contend over right or wrong often lose their inner stillness. Those who contend for face often lose the respect of others. Those who contend over gain or loss often lose themselves. In Buddhism, a wise person does not seek to conquer others, but seeks to conquer their own mind. In a small village by the river, there lived a woman named Mrs. Nam. People called her Mrs. Nam, the rice seller, because for decades she sold rice at the old market corner. Her stall was always simple, just a few bags of white rice, a few baskets of green beans, a few packets of salt. But strangely, her counter always had customers, even though there were countless newer, prettier, more bustling stalls around. Mrs. Nam was small and thin, with early gray hair, but her face was always kind. Every morning, she woke early, lit incense before the Buddha altar in the corner of her house. As the incense smoke drifted lightly, she clasped her hands and murmured, "May I have a peaceful day. May my heart not be disturbed. May my mouth not speak words that make others sad." Only then would she go to the market. People in the market said they had never seen her ask anyone questions. If someone was sad, she would just smile and smile gently. If someone complained of suffering, she would only say, "Oh well, suffering also passes." If someone spoke of someone else's wrongdoing, she would only say, "Everyone has their own karmic causes and conditions." Once, a vendor next to her recounted her husband's infidelity and asked Mrs. Nam, "Mrs. Nam, do you believe it?" She simply replied softly, "Hearing about other people's family matters doesn't help anything. Let's just pray they learn to love each other more." Because of this, many people called her timid and ignorant of life, saying she couldn't contribute anything to conversations. But then one day, a big incident happened in the market. Two vendors argued over a customer. Words turned into a physical altercation. Everyone sought witnesses. Everyone claimed they were right. Mrs. Nam still sat quietly, fanning herself with a palm leaf fan. When people came to ask her who was right and who was wrong, she just smiled and said, "I only see suffering people. I don't see anyone wrong." Those words silenced both sides, for in their heated anger, they suddenly felt their hearts cool down. From then on, people valued Mrs. Nam more. Everyone said Mrs. Nam truly was a blessed person, not because she was rich or clever, but because she had a peaceful heart. She didn't ask about other people's affairs, so she wasn't entangled in gossip. She didn't contend over gains or losses, so she was never weary. She lived simply, but stably. At night, she slept soundly. In the morning, she smiled gently. Every day for her was a new day, unburdened by old matters. Once, people asked Mrs. Nam, "How are you so kind? You smile at everything and never get angry." She replied, "I don't contend, so I lose nothing. Anger is taking a knife and cutting your own heart. Smiling is lighting a lamp in the dark." The listeners fell silent, for in those simple words lay a lifetime of understanding the Dharma. Buddha taught that not contending is holiness, not speaking is wisdom, not asking is stillness. People often fear losing, so they contend. But in the gain of contention lies the seed of loss. Only those who maintain stillness are truly victorious over themselves. 2. Not asking. 3. Not contending. Seems small, but it's the gateway to peace. When we don't ask about others' private lives, our minds are unburdened. When we don't contend over right or wrong, our hearts are undisturbed. When we don't contend for face, we maintain humility. When we don't contend over gain or loss, we keep our minds clear. Just like a lake, only when there's no wind can it reflect the moon. Life is like a river. Some parts flow swiftly, some are calm. If we keep stirring it to see the bottom, the water will never be clear. Many people suffer from insomnia, not because of bodily fatigue, but because of a tired mind. The mind is tired because it's constantly filled with other people's affairs, worldly matters, right and wrong. The more one thinks, the more confused one feels. The more one contends, the more uneasy one becomes. Just let go a little, and there is silence. When the mind is still, the breath is even, the eyes are closed, and sleep comes naturally. When we don't ask about other people's private lives, it is also when we are learning to love. To love is not to cause further harm to others. Everyone carries a silent pain within them. Some force a smile outwardly, but inside is an unhealed wound. If we are truly compassionate, let them be. Don't stir up what they are trying to forget. That is a silent act of goodness. No need to speak, no need to boast, but it has profound merit. And when we don't contend, that is when we are learning to let go. Letting go is not defeat, but choosing peace. Winning over others is only a temporary victory. Winning over oneself is the true victory. Buddha said that one who knows how to let go of what is unworthy will gain what is more precious. When we can let go of right and wrong, we see that everything depends on circumstances. When we can let go of face, we feel our heart light as a cloud. When we can let go of gain and loss, we see that nothing in this life needs to be tightly held. Many people ask, if everyone doesn't contend, will life become stagnant? But in reality, not contending is not giving up. Not contending is doing one's best, but without attachment. It is speaking with compassion, not with anger. It is acting with mindfulness, not for victory or defeat. A person with such a mind brings peace to themselves and others wherever they go. Mrs. Nam, the rice seller, is an image of such a person. All her life she lived amidst the market, amidst the noise, amidst the struggle, yet she maintained a calm mind. Everyone thought she was simple, but in reality, she lived in the world as if in meditation. The market was a place where people bought and sold. But for her, it was a place of practice. Each person who came, each word spoken, each smile, was a lesson about karma, about human nature, about patience. Once, a customer intentionally bargained low, speaking unpleasant words. She still happily wrapped the rice without a single frown. People asked why she wasn't annoyed. She smiled gently. If others are hot, and I get hot too, the fire burns on both sides. If others are hot, and I am cool, the fire goes out. I choose to be cool. It's that simple. But that is the wisdom of one who understands the Dharma. That is the meaning of Mrs. Nam's story. When the mind is calm, the surroundings are also calm. When one doesn't ask, doesn't contend, one preserves one's pure energy. Life no longer has many storms because the wind is only strong when the heart is agitated. A person can live in the market, among people, and still be at peace, because their mind is not pulled away. They know what to listen to, what to be silent about, what to let go of. Buddha taught that a practitioner doesn't need to go far. Just by maintaining a pure mind wherever they are, that is practice. Mrs. Nam didn't go to temples or chant many sutras, but every action, every word of hers was a lesson in meditation. Meditation in her breath, meditation in her smile, meditation in knowing not to ask, knowing not to contend. Only by letting go of winning and losing does one find their heart as vast as the ocean. The ocean does not fear waves, because it knows waves come and go. The ocean does not contend for space with clouds, because it knows clouds only visit and then leave. People are the same. When one knows that all things are karmic connections, there is no one left to resent, nothing left to contend for. When the mind is like the ocean, all trivial matters dissolve like foam. Therefore, if tonight you are still tossing and turning, take a deep breath, exhale slowly, close your eyes, and imagine yourself as a tranquil lake. Let the words of others be carried away by the wind. Let matters that do not concern you be washed away by the water. Keep only your breath, your smile, your kind heart. When the mind is at peace, sleep will come. Remember that not everyone who talks much understands. Not everyone who argues well wins. True understanding lies in a heart that knows silence. True victory lies in a mind that knows how to yield. An unspoken word can sometimes save a relationship. An uncontested matter can sometimes preserve a lifetime of peace. Buddha once said, "One thought of anger burns a forest of merit. One thought of compassion gives rise to blessings for 100 lifetimes." To keep a mind free of contention is to keep blessings. To keep one's mouth from asking meaningless questions is to keep peace. Tonight, if possible, before sleeping, smile and softly utter a phrase. May this mind be at peace. May these words be kind. May this heart know how to let go. Then the rain will be softer, the breath will slow, and sleep will come, gentle as a wisp of incense smoke drifting in the tranquil space. Buddha taught that the lotus only blooms in mud, and the wise only shine in suffering. In life, no one wants suffering. No one seeks adversity. But it is precisely adversity that is the shortest path to wisdom and compassion. For when we are happy, we forget to look deeply within ourselves. When we suffer, we are forced to stop and listen to the voice within our hearts. Just as a precious gem must be polished to shine, so too must a person pass through trials to see the true light within their heart. Many people complain, "Why do I suffer more than others? Why do so many efforts still meet with difficulties, illness, loss?" But Buddha taught that suffering does not come to punish, but to awaken. Adversity does not arise to make us weak, but to open a new door within us. The door of understanding, of letting go, of serenity. When we hurt, we learn to empathize. When we lose, we learn gratitude. When we suffer, we see the value of a peaceful day. Therefore, do not fear suffering. Look at it as a benevolent teacher. Though strict, It comes to teach us the most important lessons. Lessons of impermanence, of karma, of contentment. Suffering is a mirror reflecting how far we have strayed from mindfulness. When we know how to return, suffering will dissipate like clouds after rain. A wise person does not complain about life, does not blame others, but only asks their heart, "What have I learned from this suffering?" When we understand, suffering becomes a blessing. When we do not understand, blessings turn into suffering. Long ago, in the Anguttara Nikaya, there is a passage recording the Buddha's teaching. Just as a blacksmith, the longer he forges, the harder the iron becomes. Similarly, the more a practitioner encounters adversity, the clearer the mind becomes, the firmer the wisdom. Therefore, whenever our lives fall into a difficult period, remember that it is not the end, but merely a gentle test of karma. If we pass it, the path ahead will open to a new realm. The story of Miss Lan, a humble teacher, will help us understand this more deeply. Ms. Lan, 40 years old this year, lived her whole life kindly and devotedly, teaching at a small school in a peaceful countryside. She lived simply, never causing animosity with anyone. Every morning she woke early, brewed a pot of tea, read a few pages of the Dhammapada, then went to class with a gentle smile. Her life seemed destined for perpetual tranquility. Until one day, her body showed strange pains. The diagnostic results shattered her entire world. Stage 3 cancer. Initially, Ms. Lan was incredibly afraid. Every night she lay listening to the rain fall outside her window, tears flowing ceaselessly. She thought of her elderly parents, her students, her unfulfilled dreams. She asked heaven, "Why me? I have not done anything evil." But the more she asked, the more her heart suffered. Because no one answered, and no one could change fate. One afternoon, after her first round of treatment, she went to the temple near her home to pray for peace. The abbot looked at her, said little, only invited her to sit down and poured a hot cup of tea. The tea fragrance wafted gently, the warmth spreading in the wind. The abbot asked, "Do you know why you are in pain?" She replied, "Because of karma, venerable sir." The abbot nodded and then said, "Yes, but karma is not for you to resent, but for you to understand. The sick body is for the mind to be healed. The pain of the body is for the mind to know how to return." The abbot explained, "Some people, when ill, suffer more the more they resist. Some people know how to accept, know how to love their body. Then illness is no longer an enemy, but a friend. It reminds us to live slower, breathe deeper, love ourselves more." Ms. Lan was silent. The tea had cooled, but the abbot's words were like a warm fyrtbro in her heart. From that day on, she no longer complained. She practiced meditation every morning. When in pain, she closed her eyes and softly chanted Nam Moa Didafat. When tired, she smiled and told herself, "This is karma dissolving, not suffering, but a blessing." Gradually, her mind became peaceful. She continued treatment, still felt pain, but was no longer afraid. She began to spend time writing letters, encouraging other patients. She went to the hospital with books, telling stories of Buddha, of karma, of faith. Whenever someone was afraid, she held their hand and softly said, "Don't be afraid. We are learning a valuable lesson." Ms. Lan became an inspiration for many. Some patients who had intended to give up smiled again after meeting her. Doctors said, "Ms. Lan not only lived longer than expected, but her spirit was also unusually bright. It seemed that the pain had helped her see the true nature of life, that nothing is permanent, that this body is only temporary, and that the most precious thing is not to live long, but to live mindfully. 3 years later, Ms. Lan passed away, but before she left a small notebook in which the last line read, "This illness is a gift from the Buddha, for me to understand that every breath is a blessing. If there were no suffering, I would forever sleep in peace. I am grateful for this illness, because thanks to it, I truly lived." When the abbot read those lines, he wept. Because people often resent suffering, but few know how to be grateful for it. Ms. Lan left, but she left a great lesson. Adversity is a karmic blessing, if we know how to see it through the eyes of the Buddha. That is the meaning of this story. In life, no one can escape suffering. But suffering is not a bad thing. It is merely an essential part of the process of dissolving karma, like boiling water. When water boils, impurities rise to the surface. If we are patient, the impurities will settle, and the water will become clear again. Similarly, when karma ripens and suffering appears, if we pass through it with equanimity, karma will dissolve, and the mind will become clear. Buddha taught that suffering is a noble truth. One who understands suffering is close to the Dharma. When we dare to look deeply into pain, we see causes and conditions within suffering. Those who do evil reap suffering to repay debts. Those who do good meet suffering to become more diligent. The suffering of today, if passed through with mindfulness, will transform into blessings for tomorrow. But if resisted with anger, it will become new karma. Therefore, when encountering adversity, do not resent, do not fear. Smile and say, "This is a connection for me to learn." When the mind is at peace, suffering naturally lessens. When the mind is clear, suffering naturally dissipates. Pain is only temporary, like rain that eventually stops. Illness is only a small part of karma, but how we face it is what truly matters. If we resent, karma increases. If we understand, karma is dispelled. Ms. Lan understood this, so even though her body was ill, her mind was still healthy. Though in pain, her heart was still at peace. Many people looked at her and thought she was lucky, but in reality, that was the fruit of her spiritual practice. For in every moment, she had learned to live mindfully, not clinging to fear, not trying to escape. She had walked through pain and still managed to smile. And that very smile is a testament to the Buddha's teaching. One who knows how to smile in suffering, that person has overcome suffering. If we look closely, every adversity contains the seed of a blessing. One who loses a job has an opportunity to change direction. One who loses love has a chance to return to themselves. One who loses money learns the lesson of letting go. One who loses health learns the lesson of self-love. Every loss is a reminder from karma. Live mindfully. Therefore, do not run from adversity. Sit down, breathe, and ask your heart, what is this lesson here to teach me? It could be patience. It could be compassion. It could be letting go. It could be gratitude. When we find out, suffering is no longer scary. It is merely a boat taking us to the shore of awakening. One who has never suffered can hardly understand others. One who has never lost can hardly appreciate. One who has never been ill can hardly learn to live slowly. Therefore, suffering is the gateway to compassion. who has suffered. If they know how to open their heart, they will have great compassion. In every adversity, there are two choices. One is to complain, the other is to learn. Those who choose to complain will be dragged down by suffering. Those who choose to learn will be lifted up by suffering. When the mind changes, the scene changes. When we see suffering as a friend, we will no longer fear suffering. Just as a farmer understands that the rainy season makes the soil good, and the dry season makes trees strong under the sun. Life is the same. There is sun, there is rain, there is light, there is darkness. Each stage is necessary for the growth of the mind. Buddha taught that gold shines brightest in fire. People only reveal their true selves in suffering. So don't blame adversity. Thank it. Because thanks to it, we become humble. Thanks to it, we learn to love. Thanks to it, we see life's impermanence and cherish every moment. One who knows how to thank suffering has traveled halfway to awakening. Tonight, if you are still restless, if there are things unsettling your heart, take a deep breath and then exhale gently. Close your eyes and listen to the Buddha's teachings. No suffering lasts forever. Every pain is a door that opens to light. Look at your adversity, not with fear, but with compassion. Whisper, "I am grateful for learning this lesson." When you are truly grateful, your mind will be at peace. When your mind is at peace, sleep will come, light as clouds, warm as the early moonlight. Believe that suffering is not an end, but a beginning of a new journey. A journey of understanding, of awakening, of serenity. Believe that all difficulties are opportunities sent by the Buddha for us to grow. And remember, without adversity, there would be no awakening. Buddha once taught that hatred cannot be resolved by hatred. Only compassion and forgiveness can soothe all suffering. In life, everyone has been hurt, felt injustice, carried unseen scars in their hearts. Some choose to nourish those wounds with anger. Some choose to let them gradually dissolve in compassion. That difference is the boundary between suffering and peace. When night falls, when the clamor of the world subsides, we can clearly hear the voice of our own hearts. Some toss and turn, unable to sleep, not because their body is tired, but because their mind is not at peace, because there is still resentment, still vexation, still clinging. When the mind has not forgiven, the heart is still like a fire. Even if small, it is enough to burn away serenity. Therefore, forgiveness is not an act for others, but a gift we give ourselves. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting everything, nor does it mean condoning wrongdoings. Forgiveness is seeing through the nature of suffering, understanding that everyone is enduring their own karma. When we understand that, we no longer want revenge, no longer want to contend. Because in the endless cycle of samsara, no one truly wins, no one truly loses. Only those who find peace are truly liberated. The ancients said, "Holding on to resentment in your heart is like holding a hot coal in your hand, hoping to throw it at someone else, only to end up burning yourself." Resentment is a burden. Forgiveness is letting go. When we can let go of resentment, we feel lighter. When we can forgive others, we find peace. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha taught, The victor gives rise to enmity. The defeated sleeps uneasily. The person who gives up both victory and defeat lives peacefully and happily. That is the lesson of letting go, of compassion. For only when we know how to put things down can we move forward. The story of Mrs. Hoa from the Buddhist teachings of Lin Ung is a testament to that power. The power of compassion, of forgiveness, of a miraculous transformation that only love can achieve. Mrs. Hoa lived in a peaceful rural area. She had only one son, well-behaved and kind, her pride and joy. Their life, though not wealthy, was full of happiness. Every day, Mrs. Hoa would wake early, prepare breakfast, then stand by the gate, smiling as she watched her son walk out to work. She often said, "Go cheerfully, return safely." But one morning, those words were the last she ever said to him. That day, a drunk driver crashed into her son. The sudden accident claimed his life instantly. The entire village was stunned, and the sky in Mrs. Hoa's heart collapsed. People saw her sitting silently for hours before the altar, her eyes dry, no more tears left to cry. Some came to advise her, accuse the perpetrator of that crime, let the law punish him. But she only gently shook her head and softly said, "The law will do its part, and my part is to keep my heart from turning into resentment." When the young man who caused the accident was arrested, she went to the detention center. People were surprised, thinking she had come to scold and vent her anger. But no, she brought a basket of fruit, a few small scriptures, and told the officer, "I've come to visit my son." The detention officer didn't understand and asked again, "Your son has passed away, ma'am." She smiled. "The young man in here is the son that karmic connection brought to me. I lost one son, but perhaps Buddha gave me another to teach him how to live right." The first time she met the young man, he kept his head bowed, unable to speak a word. He cried, trembling, and choked out, "I'm sorry. I deserve to die." She gently said, "If you die, who will live to correct your mistakes? If you die, karma is not yet resolved, sin not yet transformed, and the pain remains. Forgiveness is not forgetting, but moving forward together." From then on, every month she visited, bringing food, clothes, and teachings about karma. She told him stories from the sutras about those who repented, about the Buddha's compassion. The young man gradually changed. In his eyes, there was a growing awareness. 4 years later, after being released from prison, he sought her out, knelt down, and sobbed. "I don't dare to ask for your forgiveness, but I want to live as you taught me, to live to atone for my mistakes." She helped him up. She slowly said, "I forgave you long ago. From the day you knew pain, you were already saved." From then on, he became a volunteer, going to places with orphaned children, places in need of help, silently doing good deeds. Once asked what made him change, he simply said, "Thanks to her compassion, I learned how to live." That story spread throughout the village. Everyone who heard it was deeply moved. They said Mrs. Hoa was extraordinary, but she only smiled gently. "I am not extraordinary. I just don't want to live in resentment. Resentment is a prison. Forgiveness is liberation." After hearing that story, we suddenly realize that compassion is not something distant. It is the light that shines into the darkest corners of the human soul. If Mrs. Hoa had chosen resentment, perhaps 2 lives would have been buried in suffering. But thanks to a single thought of compassion, she saved not only another person, but also herself. Forgiveness, in truth, is a form of spiritual practice. Practice not just in temples, but in every breath, every choice. Some recite Buddha's name their whole lives, but refuse to let go of anger. So they haven't truly practiced. But one who knows how to forgive, to love, to be compassionate, even that one thought is a step closer to the Buddha. In the scriptures, the Buddha once spoke of karma and its results. One who commits evil deeds will surely face the consequences. No one can escape. But one who cultivates a compassionate mind will gradually have that karma resolved. Forgiveness is not erasing karma, but not creating new karma. When we forgive, we end the cycle of hatred so as not to sow more seeds of suffering in the future. Think about that. In this life, everyone has made mistakes. Everyone has hurt someone. If we hope others will forgive us, then we should also learn to forgive others. Because forgiveness is two-way. It is water that washes away the dust for both sides. One who holds resentment thinks they are strong, but is actually weak. One who knows forgiveness seems weak, but is stronger than ever. Because forgiveness requires courage, requires faith, requires a mature soul. Sometimes we cannot forgive others because we have not yet forgiven ourselves. We blame ourselves for believing, for loving, for sacrificing. But self-reproach is also a form of suffering. Look deeply into your heart and tell yourself that you did your best, that you are enough. When you can let go, your heart will find peace. Forgiveness is not erasing memories, but not letting those memories control you anymore. When you still remember, but no longer hurt, that is when you have truly forgiven. In the tranquil night, imagine you are sitting by a peaceful lake. All anger, all vexation are like stones falling into the water. They create ripples, but then settle. Your mind is the same. If you don't keep throwing more stones, the surface of the water will be calm. Forgiveness is stopping so that the water can be still. Someone said, "I cannot forgive because that person doesn't deserve it." But my friend, forgiveness is not about the other person deserving it, but about you deserving your own peace. Don't wait for someone to change before letting go, because suffering lies in your heart, not in their hands. Remember, when you forgive, it doesn't mean you lose. It means you have won. Won over the anger in your heart, won over selfishness, won over karmic obstacles. And that is the greatest victory in life. Like Mrs. Hoa in that story, she didn't contend, didn't argue, didn't punish. But she was the winner. She triumphed over pain, triumphed over darkness, to step into the light of compassion. And the young man, thanks to forgiveness, was reborn. That is the power of compassion. A power that needs no swords, no loud words, but can change human destiny. Sometimes, just a word of forgiveness, a look of understanding, is enough to save someone from the abyss. Because all humans crave to be understood, to be forgiven, to be loved. When we give others that, we are sowing wholesome seeds. And like all wholesome seeds, they will sprout and blossom. And one day, we will reap the fruits of peace. Forgiveness doesn't make us lose anything. It only makes us richer, richer in compassion, richer in peace. Resentment only makes us poorer, poorer in happiness, poorer in smiles. Therefore, every night before sleeping, try to be silent for a few minutes. Close your eyes. Think of those who once caused you pain, and then softly say, "I forgive you, and I also forgive myself." Just a small sentence. But if it comes from a sincere heart, it will make your sleep deeper, more peaceful. Good sleep comes not only from a healthy body, but from a light soul. When the heart has let go, the breath will be even, and dreams will be serene. One who knows how to forgive is one who sleeps peacefully. One who knows how to let go is one who lives peacefully. Like water flowing past a stone, not resenting, not stopping, just quietly moving on. Life is the same. Do not let one resentment stop the flow of your soul. Let compassion lead the way. Let forgiveness open the path. When we know how to love even those who once caused us suffering, that is when we truly understand the Dharma. For in the Buddha's eyes, there are no enemies, only souls who are lost. And every time we forgive, we are illuminating a part of that darkness. Finally, remember that forgiveness is not weakness, but strength. That strength does not come from physical might, but from the mind. It does not come from power, but from wisdom. Because only those who clearly understand karma, who clearly understand impermanence, can truly forgive. Tonight, if you are hearing these words, let your mind soften. Don't think too much about the past. Don't blame anyone. Don't resent anything. Take a deep breath and then exhale very slowly. All resentment will gradually dissolve in that breath. Buddha taught that when the mind is at peace, all things are at peace. When compassion arises in the heart, blessings come. When we know how to forgive, bad karma dissipates and good fortune follows. Therefore, if you want good sleep, let your mind be at peace. If you want a healthy body, let compassion blossom in your heart. Believe that no matter how much suffering there is in life, with just one good thought, light has already begun to shine. Just as every long night eventually passes, after darkness always comes dawn. Let forgiveness become the sun in your heart, illuminating the days to come. May you, every night, when you hear these words, have a calm mind, a peaceful heart, a complete sleep. And when you wake up, a smile still on your lips. Live kindly. Live with love. Live with forgiveness. For when we give compassion, that is when we receive our own happiness. Buddha taught that human life is an impermanent journey. It has a beginning and an end, but no one knows where their stop is. We come to this world as passengers boarding a train. On that train, some companions stay for a long time, some only for a short ride, some bored with smiles, but a light in tears. Some think they're traveling far, but ultimately only pass through. Life is just like that. Impermanent, short, fragile, like a wisp of evening smoke. Buddha once said, "A human lifetime is as short as a breath. When the last breath leaves, all glory, fame, and resentments become illusory. Therefore, the important thing is not how long we live, but how we live. Just like a train traveler, the precious thing is not the final destination, but how many people we have smiled at, helped, and loved on that journey. Every evening, as we close out a day, we pass through another stop on that journey. Some sleep in peace, some toss and turn with worries. The peaceful person is one who is content. The worried person is one who has not yet learned to let go. Therefore, to sleep well, the mind must be still. To still the mind, one must know how to let go. And letting go is understanding the impermanent nature of life. Life is a long train journey. Everyone has a ticket, but no one knows when their ticket will expire. Therefore, live as if today is the last day of the journey. Speak words of love while you still can. Help others while you still have strength. Forgive while your heart is still warm. Because when the train stops, all we carry with us will only be good karma or bad karma. In a small town by the riverbank, there was a train engineer named Loy. His entire life was connected to the railway tracks and the long-sounding train whistle in the early morning. He drove trains for over 40 years, carrying countless people through many lands, witnessing countless meetings and partings. People said he was the soul of that train station. His student, Nam, recounted that Mr. Loy drove trains not just with his hands, but with his whole heart. Every time the train left the station, he would always stick his head out the window, look back at the platform, and loudly instruct his trainees, "Remember, on the train of life, some people get on, some get off. What's important is how we traveled." Nam heard that saying hundreds of times, but only when Mr. Loy retired did he fully understand it. On his last day on the job, he wore a worn collared jacket, holding an old hat, and stepped into the driver's cabin. The morning sun streamed through the window, casting a golden light on his wrinkled but kind face. The train left the station, its whistle resonating. Dozens of townspeople stood, some with tears in their eyes. Everyone knew this was Mr. Loy's last train journey. Along the way, he told Nam small but profound stories. He said, when driving a train, you have to learn to look far ahead. Look far to avoid danger. Look far to anticipate what's coming. Life is the same. You have to know how to look far. Know how to slow down. Don't just rush along and forget the people traveling with you. Nam asked, "Teacher, have you ever felt tired, spending your whole life just going around the tracks?" He smiled gently. "Tired, yes. But when I see passengers smile, when I see people safely reach their destination, I feel light in my heart. There are some train journeys in life that don't need to reach a destination. They just need to go in the right direction." That day's train journey was longer than usual. Mr. Loy said he wanted to go slow to see everything one last time. The train passed golden rice fields, past an old bridge stained by time, past a winding river shimmering in the sun. He pointed out each place to Nam. "That place, in '87, there was a landslide. We had to stop all day. That place, once I saved a child who almost fell into the river." Each memory was a seed of love he had cultivated throughout his life. On the day he died, the entire train station wept. People hung his photograph on the wall. Amidst the early morning train whistles, anyone passing by would stop, clasp their hands. Some said he was a good man. never complained his whole life, only knew how to help others. Another said, "I was once saved by him when I fainted on the train." Yet another recounted, "Once I forgot my wallet, and he returned it all the way to my house." Each story was a flower in the garden of merit he left behind. His former student, now a chief engineer, always slowed down when passing the old route, lighting a silent incense in his heart. He softly said, "Teacher, I understand your words now. Life is like a train journey. Some get on, some get off. What's important is how we traveled." Through that story, we understand that everyone in life is driving their own train. It could be a train of love, of work, of dreams, or of responsibility. Whatever our train carries, let's drive it with a pure heart. For only those who drive with their heart can bring that train to a safe destination. Mr. Loy's story is also a lesson about karma. He lived kindly, so he received kindness. He gave smiles, so he departed amidst the loving tears of others. That is the natural law of the universe. What you sow, you reap. Do good, receive good. Karma is not mistaken. It only comes sooner or later. One who lives fully when departing this world does not need gold or silver. They only need to be remembered by others. For the memories of others are a mirror reflecting our good karma. One who lives selfishly is not remembered after death. One who lives kindly, even after death, feels as if they are still there. Some ask what it means to live fully. To live fully is not to live to be praised, but to live without shame in one's heart. To think of the consequences in everything one does, to think of others' hearts in everything one says. When the mind is pure, every action is good. When compassion arises in the heart, blessings naturally come. Buddha taught that every breath is a gift. Everyone we meet is a karmic connection. When the connection comes, we meet. When the connection ends, we part. No one stays with us forever, nor does anyone leave forever. Therefore, do not try to cling. Do not try to hold on. Know how to smile when others depart from our lives. For perhaps on another train, they are also remembering you. Life is a journey that does not repeat. Therefore, go with all your heart. Let every place we pass through, every person we meet, receive a little light from us. Live so that when our train of life stops, those who remain remember us with warmth, not with pain. Believe that when we live kindly, blessings will follow us like a shadow. When we sow love, love will return like ripples on the water. And when we depart, what we leave behind are the footprints of compassion. Tonight, as you hear these words, relax your soul. Imagine yourself sitting on a train, quietly traveling through a moonlit field. The wind is like a lullaby, the wheels like a heartbeat. And outside the window, memories drift by light as clouds. Smile, for you are traveling, still alive, still have the opportunity to love. And when tomorrow comes, step off that train with gratitude. Grateful for those who traveled with you, grateful for those who left, grateful even for the difficulties that taught you strength. Buddha taught that a day not lived in compassion is a wasted day. So live fully, sow love, so that when you depart this life, you have no regrets. May you sleep in peace every night and wake up in peace every morning. May your life's journey whether long or short, be filled with the light of goodness, smiles, and love. For ultimately, what remains is not money or fame, but the trace of love we leave on the train of life. Buddha taught that sleep is also a practice. When one sleeps mindfully, the body rests, the mind is at peace. When one sleeps in ignorance, the body sleeps, but the mind still wanders, never truly resting. In life, many people believe that sleep is just a natural part of the body. But for those who practice, who live mindfully, even sleep is a way to return to oneself, a way to release all suffering and nourish the seeds of peace in the consciousness. Every evening, when we lie down, the world outside becomes quiet. No more work, no more voices, no more worries, only us and our breath, only us and ourselves. But it is precisely at that moment that so many thoughts, so many memories, so many worries arise. One who cannot sleep is not tired in body, but their mind is not at peace. Buddha once taught that when the mind is at peace, all things are at peace. When the mind is like a calm lake, the moon can reflect its image. When the mind is agitated, no matter how bright the moon, it becomes distorted and shattered. Therefore, to have peaceful sleep, the first thing is not to turn off the light, not to find a soft pillow, but to turn off the delusive thoughts in the mind, to quiet the endless stream of thoughts rushing within one's heart. A mindful person, even when sleeping, maintains peaceful breath. They sleep with awareness, knowing that this body is lying down, knowing that the mind is resting, knowing that everything in the world will eventually pass like clouds in the sky. Not striving, not forcing, not demanding, just breathing, just relaxing, just letting each drop of time pass gently like morning dew. Therefore, before going to bed, sit still for a moment. Inhale, knowing you are inhaling. Exhale, knowing you are exhaling. Let go of a long, tiring day. The arguments, the competitions, the unfinished plans. Let them all fall like autumn leaves without regret, without holding on. When the mind is light, sleep is also light. When the mind is heavy, even in dreams, there is no peace. There is a story that long ago in India, there was a poor woodcutter. Every day he went into the forest to cut wood, which he sold at the market, earning just enough to get by. Though poor, he always smiled and spoke words of gratitude to everyone. Everyone valued him, for he was kind, quiet, and always helped others. Once, a monk passed by and saw him resting under a tree. He asked, "Are you happy?" The woodcutter replied, "Venerable sir, I don't have much money, no grand house, but every night I sleep well, and every morning I feel peace in my heart. Isn't that happiness?" The monk smiled and said, "One who is mindful, though poor, is rich. One who lacks mindfulness, though rich, is poor. You can sleep well because your mind is not bound." A mindful person sleeps like someone placing a boat on a calm lake. Even if the wind blows, even if waves ripple, the boat does not capsize. That story, though simple, contains a profound lesson. Good sleep does not come from a soft pillow or warm blankets, but from a heart unburdened. Mindfulness is the bright lamp in the mind, illuminating every dark corner, making us clearly see what is real, what is illusory, what is worth letting go of, and what is worth holding on to. When we see clearly, we are not afraid, not in pain. In life, some go to bed and immediately fall asleep. Others toss and turn all night. The difference lies not in the bed, but in the consciousness. A person who practices before sleeping each night reflects on the day that has passed. They remember the good things, offer gratitude to those who helped them, and apologize to those they may have hurt. Then they silently recite a Buddha's name, like a small candle in the night. That light guides their consciousness into peaceful sleep. The ancients had a saying, "Sleep peacefully at night. Wake with a kind heart in the morning." When we sleep mindfully, our mind naturally feels light when we wake up. All good fortune and ease in the day also naturally arise. For the cause sown is peace, and the fruit harvested will be good. When the mind is at peace, wholesome karma blossoms. When the mind is agitated, suffering karma follows. Therefore, every sleep is an opportunity to sow wholesome seeds into the consciousness. Someone asked, how can one be mindful during sleep? Buddha taught that there is no need to do anything profound. Just before sleeping, pause for a moment, place a hand on your chest, and feel your breath moving in and out. Focus your mind on your breath, not letting it wander. Inhale deeply, exhale gently, like waves touching the shore. Silently recite Amitabha Buddha, or Namo, original teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. In this way, the body will relax, and the mind will become still. When the mind is at peace, good dreams come naturally. A mindful sleep is like a full moon night. Not too dark, not too bright, just enough to illuminate all things clearly. When sleeping, we no longer try to forget life, but return to ourselves to understand that all suffering and worries are just passing clouds. No matter how thick the clouds, the sky remains blue. No matter how strong the wind, the moon remains round. Similarly, no matter how tumultuous life is, within us there is always a tranquil sky. We just need to know how to return to it. On difficult nights, instead of tossing and turning, instead of opening your phone or overthinking, listen to your breath. Imagine each breath is a cool breeze passing through your entire body, carrying away fatigue and worry, drifting further and further away. Let your mind return to the present, where only life is happening. Don't regret the past. Don't worry about the future. Stay with this moment, with this very breath, for that is the door to peace, just like a river. If we don't stir it, the water naturally becomes clear. The human mind is also like that. When it is not entangled in delusive thoughts, it is naturally clear, light, and full of love. A person with a clear mind sleeps peacefully wherever they go, finds peace wherever they are. A Zen master once said, "One who knows how to sleep is one who knows how to live." For in mindful sleep, the body rests, the mind is nourished, wisdom is illuminated, and blessings are cultivated. It is not just the sleep of the physical body, but the sleep of vexations. When the mind sleeps peacefully, vexations dissipate, and wisdom arises. Sleeping mindfully is also learning to let go. Letting go of a long day, letting go of what others said, letting go of what we couldn't accomplish. Because life is inherently impermanent. Some days are joyful, some are troubled. Some things succeed, some remain incomplete. All are lessons for us to learn to smile at ourselves. Remember that each sleep is a small death, and each morning we wake up is a rebirth. When we go to sleep in peace, we wake up feeling well. When we go to sleep troubled, we wake up tired. So before closing your eyes, ask your heart, have I lived kindly today? Have I been grateful? Have I let go? If the answer is yes, then you are ready for a peaceful sleep. Life is like a train journey. Daytime is the travel. Nighttime is the rest stop. If we don't stop, that train will derail. So let sleep be a peaceful pause for the mind. Don't let the body sleep while the mind still races. Let everything settle down like water after a rain. Before sleeping, whisper words of gratitude. Thank this body, though tired, for serving me all day long. Thank those around me. Whether they were good or not, they all helped me grow. Thank life for giving me another day to live, to love, to learn compassion. When the heart is full of gratitude, the mind naturally lightens, and a light mind leads to beautiful dreams. Sleeping mindfully is not about sleeping quickly, but about sleeping deeply. Deep in your breath, deep in your gratitude, deep in the light of the Dharma. Then you will feel a warm energy spreading throughout your body, like a gentle golden light shining over your entire being, soothing every aisle, every blood vessel, every ache and pain. The consciousness gradually lets go. The breath gradually evens out, and sleep comes naturally, like flowers blooming in the morning mist. And then, when you open your eyes tomorrow morning, you will find your heart feels different, no longer heavy, no longer afraid. All small things suddenly become lovely. The sound of birds singing, the early morning sun, or a warm cup of water also makes gratitude surge. That is the energy of mindfulness, the energy that brings good fortune, ease, and peace. Believe that one night of peaceful sleep can change an entire tomorrow. Because when body and mind are in harmony, wholesome energy spreads, and the universe also smiles upon us. Good fortune does not come from anywhere else, but arises from within the heart. When we are at peace, blessings naturally find us. When we are kind, our destiny naturally prospers. So tonight, as you close your eyes, close also all worries. Let the light of compassion envelop you. Let the gentle chanting of Buddha's name guide you into deep sleep. Sleep soundly, with a tranquil body and mind. Tomorrow, good fortune and ease will smile upon you.